Towers. Titan battles are back.
I noticed the thing that I noticed most that when it comes to Street Fighter 6, I think I've been saying that for like basically, but the thing that I noticed, I don't think it's really more the programmers than it is, the artists. Sometimes I do feel like it is the programmers that program the game, but I feel like the I don't know. I think it's a balance of both. That there's just not good. Sometimes there shouldn't be such difficult time seeing a projectile or a character on the screen, and that should be adjusted per stage. Like if the character, like I just fought an Ingrid that's like all white on a white background. Like it's impossible to see what she's doing. I don't know who's trolling me. Like every time I try to play online, like they always pick almost all white outfits, knowing that I play on an all white stage. But that should not be the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a balance of the programmers and the artists. And like,
Fight your way.
oh my god.
Choose your destiny. Versus.
Okay. That's the only point I'm trying to make is like, I wish they would adjust that a little bit more.
Kenshi.
I wish they would adjust that a little bit more, like where it's like, even if they wanted to, they couldn't pick an all-white Ingrid on an all-white background or an all-white Ryu on an all-white background. You know what I'm saying? It's just not fair, especially in ranked matches. Like, and that it also includes characters that like almost have no clothing on, like Zangief and E Honda. Characters like that, like Cammy, that like have little to no clothing on, and they're very white characters. So like it's almost identical to picking a white character. Like it's not fair for ranked matches. It's not fair to lose to players that are using that. It's not a true test of skill and talent. It's an unfair advantage. The color yellow is very similar. Like Jamie, for example, like he's a character that has an all yellow shirt. It's very, very, believe it or not, it's very similar to having an all white outfit. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfair. I wish the developers, of the game would put a little bit more effort so that would never happen again, especially in ranked. If it's a casual match, even in casual matches, we're playing, even if we're playing casually, like we're playing online. We're playing against each other to see who's better or to get better. And you're not going to find out how good you really are unless, like even projectiles, like Ryu's projectiles should change to a way darker color on a white background. It's very difficult to see that. It's a huge, disadvantage to the opponents to have, the projectile's very fast. It's lightning fast. And then it's very difficult to see where it is on the screen. You know what I'm saying? Like you try to walk forward to, engage your opponent, and then like out of nowhere, you're getting hit with like a 4-hit, lightning fast projectile that you almost didn't even see the entire animation. Like you only saw, 25% of the actual animation, and all of a sudden you're getting hit and it's causing you 25% or whatever it is. I'm gonna leave it at that. Like I said, I'm, the reason, I'm selling my PlayStation 5 is not only because, it's just, I can't compete, man. I can't compete. And like, I'm losing to a lot of players that I feel like just not really even on my level. They don't even play fighting games like that. You know what I'm saying? They're not even on my level, man. Like if I was playing them offline, I would smash them. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not even legitimately good players that are like landing combinations and they're just kind of hoping for the best, throwing out Jinrai kicks and like hoping for the best and thinking that they're actually good. They're not good. They don't have actual talent. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm playing against a player that, legitimately shouldn't even be able to get away with what they're doing. In an actual, if a fighting game is designed with talent first, and you have to be good first, obviously, there's going to be those moments where like, there has to be things that you could throw that are safe on block. I get it, but goddamn, you know, Ken's has got to be the worst in the entire game. Like, I feel like Ken, Zangief is like, you know, some of the worst characters in the game, where it's like, you know, people are just jabbing you all out of the hard kick, you know, Dragon Lash. It's like, you know, that's all he really has. You know, and projectile, really, like that's it. And his projectile can get beat by a lot of other characters' projectile. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, I do love playing and competing, but you know, I think people are really just exploiting my skill and trying to get better through me, so that they could go, you know, to tournaments and try to win money while I, you know, I don't get nothing out of it. I don't get any shine out of it. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's really not fair. You know what I mean? That's like stealing Eminem's rhyme book and then going to a tournament and trying to win, like and compete and like pretend to be Eminem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not fair to me, who's doing all the hard work and all the grinding for you to understand what the game, you know, how to approach the game and how to maneuver in the game. You know what I'm saying? And then you just, you know, squander the gifts I gave and then pretend to be dope, like, and pretend to be good at the game. Like, you know, it's not really fair to me. You know, and on top of that, they want to troll me like all day with all white characters. That's not a coincidence, man. You know, when you run into one guy doing it, but when you run into the whole game, you know, the whole day, you're running into 72 people doing that. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that almost everybody plays on training stage, that's trolling, man. You obviously trolling me. I don't want to take the rank losses, and a lot of times I do still try to compete with the guy, and a lot of times, you know, I lose to players that, you know, they're just like, you know, spamming like nonsense, and they're like, it's hard to see what the hell they're doing, man. It's not fair. You know what I'm saying? It's not fair. You know, it should not be like that. You know, but like I said, you know, I always, you know, there's a part of me that always just likes playing the game and competing when, you know, when I'm bored and like, but, you know, unfortunately there's a competitive, you know, nature in me that always wants to win. And I feel like I'm just kind of, I can't compete like how I did like during, you know, Third Strike Online, and, you know, where I was dominating the top 10 before you guys even cared about Street Fighter or pretended to care about Street Fighter. You know, I was dominating the top 10, and guys like me were showing you what the meta of the game really was and how to compete at the highest level. And you know, you guys didn't even care about the game back then. 99% of these new players didn't even care about the game, didn't know about the game, didn't want to play the game. You know, and all of a sudden they want to be top 10 players and pretend that, like, you know, because there's money on the table, now they want to pretend to be fans. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them cheat. Even using spirituality, a lot of them cheat. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them come from communities that cheat just so they could get the win. You know what I'm saying? Spiritually, they cheat. And they try to hold talented players back from winning. You know what I'm saying? Just for the money. Like, that's real talk. Like, and these are the guys you're paying. You know what I'm saying? And they're all like, they all pretend not to be part of a community, but they are. And a lot of times they misuse it. And they cheat to do it. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I just got to say, like, it's just, that's not what it's about. You know, the spirit of competition is, you know, it's not trying to win the money. It's proving that you have what it takes to win the money. There's a big difference between cheating to win money and actually being a talented player that deserves to win the money, that actually grinded and spent, you know, thousands of hours, whatever it may be, you know, tens of thousands of hours perfecting the game, you know, to prove that he could beat anybody that comes across his path, you know, like the real life Ryu that's just traveling from player to player to make it to the top. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, this is probably gonna be my last video, man. Like, I don't know who has the time of day to, you know, wait for me to play online and oh, let me pick the all white character so that I could prove that, you know, I could steal ranked points from him, you know, and steal ranked points. Like, oh my God, like you're not breaking me as a player, because what you think is a victory is just an illusion that you won, because you had to kind of cheat to get the win. And 99% of the times when you see me quitting a match, it's not because I'm trying to perfect it, you know, keep this illusion of, oh, I have 7,000 wins and 0 losses. I'm not trying to do that. You know, I'm legitimate. Like, my record is legitimate. You know, if you take away like about maybe 100, 200 games from the losses, like that's, and maybe like a few dozen losses to like all white players. And when I, you know, first started playing the game, you know, my win-loss record speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably at like 90% win ratio, like maybe higher than that. Realistically, I'm probably at like a 95% win ratio, like 97%. You know what I'm saying? That's phenomenal, considering I've been doing that for, you know, since they started re-releasing these games on Xbox Live. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care what you feel about me or think about me. You know what I'm saying? I beat these players all the time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even playing at my best. I'm not even at my best right now. Like, I'm dominating you and I'm not even at my best. Like, you throwing lightning fast projectiles online does not prove that you're a better player. You know what I'm saying? That does not prove that you're a good player. That does not prove that you're a better player. It's extremely difficult to perfect parry that and imperfect parry that. And really, that's the only way to get through it. Unless you like imperfect or perfect parry, like, you're basically stuck in the same situation all over again. Or unless you hop over it. You know what I'm saying? At the right time. You know what I'm saying? Those are the only ways to deal with lightning fast projectiles that like this game has. You know what I'm saying? So like when you're playing online and all you're doing is relying on that, like, you know, you can't complain about me using Ken and throwing projectiles, because Ken has one of the worst zoning tools in the game. Like, if you're losing to Ken zoning you, it's because, you know, it's either hard to see what the hell, you know, is going on, or, you know, it's hard to, you know, it's, you know, you can't really perfect parry projectiles and imperfect parry. I'll leave it at that. You have to kind of jump over them, or you have to kind of get lucky online and perfect parry a projectile that normally, you know, the likelihood of that is very low. You know, offline is different, you know, but when you play online and you're just relying on that kind of game plan and strategy, and you're thinking you're a good player, you're only really cheating yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting better, and you're not learning as a player to get better that way. You're getting better as a player by rushing down your opponent and getting in their face and doing what works, and you know what I'm saying? That's how you really evolve as a player, you know? That's my best advice to a lot of these like new players, beginner players. They think that like just zoning, it makes them better. Like just throwing projectiles all day, every day, that's the only aspect of the game that they want to learn. And there's way more to it. You know what I'm saying? There's way more to it. Like trapping your opponent and forcing them into a decision is really more what the game is about. You know what I'm saying? When I throw projectiles with Ken, it's not to just throw projectiles at you and hope that you jump and uppercut you. That was the old game. You know what I'm saying? When I'm throwing projectiles at you with Ken, I'm trying to rush you down afterwards. There's an actual purpose to why I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my best advice. Like, as a Ryu player, don't just settle for throwing lightning fast projectiles. Throw lightning fast projectiles when the time is right. Counter projectile. Instead of just throwing a projectile first, counter projectile. You know what I'm saying? Wait for them to throw a projectile and then counter them with it. That's a more tactical play right there. You know what I'm saying? You're counter hitting your opponent, you know, from full screen. You know, that takes more talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, and another thing, like when I see players playing against real good zoning characters like Ryu, for example, You never want to throw projectiles first. That's why I see a lot of players doing that. That is a big mistake. When you're playing against a character that could zone you better than you could zone them with projectiles, you never want to throw projectiles first. The reason I say that is because if you throw the projectile first, they're going to counter projectile you. Like a high level player is going to counter projectile you. They're going to throw a projectile that's faster than yours, stronger than yours, and it's going to counter hit you. So my best advice is wait for them to throw a projectile first. And if it's a really lightning fast projectile, like for example, Ryu's Denjin, block it or parry it. But if he's throwing a regular projectile, try to stay within that 75% range of the screen where you could throw, for example, even with one of the worst zoners in the game, you could throw a drive meter projectile with Ken and it'll counter hit Ryu, even though Ryu ultimately should be a better zoner on paper. You know, you're counter hitting one of the best zoners in the entire game, Akuma, because you kept the right distance and the right reaction time, you know what I'm saying? Which is about that 75% range. Obviously, you still have to wait for him to throw the projectile, but it can counter hit them. You know what I'm saying? And that forces even a high level player to change their entire strategy and go, okay, I got to stop throwing projectiles at this guy because, you know, and then it's going to make it easier for you to do drive rush pressure and pressure your opponent with a projectile and then coming in after it. You know, you're going to open up the ability to slide horizontally, but first you have to change your opponent's game plan altogether. And the only way to do that is to get him to stop believing that he could zone you. And that's only going to be by jumping over their projectile or doing a move that goes through projectiles like E Honda's drive meter headbutt, you know, for example, or super that goes full screen, or is anti-projectile super like E Honda's, I think it's his level 2 if I'm not mistaken. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like as a player that wants to honestly get better and evolve and progress and see results, don't just rely on like beginner tactics. Like, oh, let me just throw lightning fast projectiles online and, you know, I'll think I'm the best Street Fighter god of all time. That's not going to really get you better as a player. You know, when you're playing offline, by all means, there's money on the line and you're playing offline. By all means, if that's how you feel you want to win and try to win, that's what you do. You know what I'm saying? There's money on the line. Play as cheap as humanly possible. Guess what? That's what every other player besides me is trying to do. All right. But when you're playing online, if you really want to see results and get better, in my personal opinion, you're not going to get better just by throwing projectiles and pretending that you're the best player in the world. You're going to get better as a player by trying to frame trap your opponent. Every character's frame traps are different. Usually for every character, like it's medium punch for whatever reason, even though I think there should be like way more variety where it's like Ryu is already good at zoning, so maybe his frame trap could be standing hard kick, which I feel like it kind of already is. Actually, no, I think his hard kick is unsafe on block. Am I right? But, you know, I'm going to leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to end the video there. But like I said, I really hope for the future releases that Capcom and I'm not even saying this just for Capcom, but like I've seen this kind of thing happen even in Mortal Kombat. But I feel like the Mortal Kombat developers actually listened to me, thank God, and actually adjusted the game where it's like I could see characters that are like completely like Noob Saibot, for example, on a black background. He looks way easier to see now than when I first mentioned it and brought it to their attention. Like, and I'm happy that they actually listened to me as developers, because I feel like they're putting colors that make the characters stand out from the background a little bit more. Like sometimes I even see there's like a yellow stage where a player picks Scorpion on a yellow stage and it's extremely difficult to see what the hell he's doing. And like, damn, I'm playing a ranked match. I'm trying to prove I'm the best on the leaderboards and put all this time and effort to try to be the best player on the leaderboards and get all these points. And then you know, they're throwing me matches like an all-white Ingrid or all-white Ryu on a white background. And it's really not fair. You know what I'm saying? I think like the developers can easily figure out a way where the number one color for Ryu, which is like I'm assuming is the all-white outfit, changes to the all-black Ryu where it's the black top and the black bottom. You know, and I would prefer if even he had shoes on or gloves on. Like if he had red like not boxing gloves, but like red hand gloves on. You know what I'm saying? Or black hand gloves on where it's like, so you can see where their jab currently is. Because there's a lot of players that all they do is rely on a jab and grab game and like, you know what I'm saying? And it would be nice to see that like the developers and the artists work together and make it a, you know, a little bit easier, you know, to see what the opponents are actually doing. The projectile doesn't have to be like a light blue that's very hard to see on a white background. It could be like a red. You know, Ryu used to have a red fireball in the older games. He used to have a red fireball. It was the half circle back. I mean, half circle forward instead of quarter circle forward. It was half circle forward plus punch. And the only difference is it would do a hard knockdown instead of, I don't know. I think the regular projectile does a hard knockdown only on EX, right? On drive meter fireball projectile. I mean, you know, I think they should give him that back. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he can benefit from having that option available. You know what I'm saying? Because like he could do a hard knockdown and then like dash back maybe once, and like he's back to like zoning you again and being annoying. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what Ryu's game plan always was. You know what I'm saying? But I'll end the video there. You know what I mean? Like I'm a true fan, and I just wanted the game to be like, you know, I didn't want all the players to abandon it except for the players that want to play for money, because it's clearly obvious that the players that I'm playing every time I try to play like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, they're obviously players that are trying to go to tournaments. They're not your average casual player that, you know, plays and doesn't try to get better. You know, I'm playing the same players every day, and you know, and I still think like none of them really are on my level like that. You know, I feel like if they actually had to rely on talent with Ken instead of just spamming Jinrai kicks, they would never win. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to say it so arrogantly, but like it's really true. Like, but like I said, I'm gonna end the video there. That's really the only point I wanted to make in the video. It's like this is the thing that you have to deal with when you play ranked matches. Is like you have to run into so many players that just troll and pretend to be good online, and like these are the same players that if they go to tournaments, they, you know, within the first round or two, they're already knocked out of the tournament. And the reason I said is because they're not trying to get better. They're not trying to see the mistakes that they're making and adjust their game plan. You know what I'm saying? You know how many times I've lost to a player that was like nowhere near my skill level, and you know, with Ryu they try to throw me like 4 times, 5 times in a row, and then you know they'll hit me with one counter hit combo after like me mashing on grab and trying to break out of their grab 72 times in a row. And then finally I'm like, okay, I get hit with a counter hit hard kick or something like that. And then the round is over, the match is over, and that was it. Like I dominated him the entire round, the entire set, the entire match. When the game's on the line, he grabs me 6 times in a row, lands one combo and steals the match away from me. But knowing in my heart that if I play him offline, it would never happen. I would break out of all the grabs that he's trying to do. I'd escape all the grabs that he's trying to do. And all the shimmies that he does are going to be completely irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's the point I'm trying to make. This is the kind of game where it's like, you can't just write notes to Street Fighter and suddenly become, you know, you have to understand, like, it helps to understand the knowledge behind the game and what works and what doesn't. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's really up to you ultimately. Like, I can tell you all the things to become a better player, but unless you actually, you know, adapt and adjust your game plan according to the player and understand what your player's doing and what mistakes he's making or he or she is making, like, you're not going to win. Like, you have to see their openings and you have to strike you have to strike when the opportunity is available immediately. It's like playing, you know, when Family Feud, the two people go up to press the button. That's basically my best way to explain Street Fighter. A lot of times, whoever presses that button first is going to get the benefits of moving first. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, obviously they changed the game a lot with Drive Impact. You can't do moves like standing hard kick with Ken anymore. Unless it's a counter hit strike, you can't even throw it out there. And it's unfortunate. Because if I was designing the game, standing hard kick would completely crush the same way back hard punch with Zangief crushes Drive Impacts and breaks it. Standing hard kick with Ken would break it. For if I was designing the game. You know, Chun-Li's sweep and crouching hard kick would break Drive Impacts. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was designing the game, every character could break it with you know, it wouldn't even be if it was my game, it wouldn't even be in the game. If it was my game, Drive Impact wouldn't even be in the game. You know, it looks way too similar to Focus Attack from Street Fighter 4 in the first place. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I told them, damn, a simple change that would change everything and make everything better for Street Fighter 6. All they have to do is add a sound effect whenever they press Drive Impact and activate Drive Impact. It just has to go Drive Impact, you know, like almost similar to KI, where it's like, get the voice actor from KI to just say that. Drive Impact! You know, that's all you got to do to turn the game completely around. I swear to God, if they did that, it would probably, like, I would probably have nothing to say about it. You know, if they just did that one simple change. Like, anyone that works at Capcom and can get on a microphone or pay a sound engineer or whatever the hell and tell them, hey, look, we want you to say Drive Impact just like that and send us a few different variations of it, and we want to use it in our game. Unlimited access or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's all they got to do. Like, from a design standpoint, like, a lot of the changes they have made in Street Fighter 6 when it comes to landing combinations is way better than it ever was before. Like, I'm talking about even in Street Fighter 4, I felt like with Ryu, it was kind of hard to, like, land crouching light kick, crouching jab, uppercut, dragon punch. And now it's actually, like, way easier. So whoever's designing the game, I don't know if it's the same people from before, but the game actually is way easier to do some of the more, you know, advanced things in the game. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's real important to understand. Like, I don't want to sit here and, like, I just want to bash the developers and I got nothing better to do than to bash the developers. You know what I'm saying? Believe me, I'm just a real big fan of the game. I've been a fan, you know, of the game, you know, ever since they re-released it on Xbox Live. You know, my friends told me about it. Like, I didn't know right away. Like, a few years later, they told me about it, and I was like, oh, word? I'm like, yeah, I love that game. Like, yeah, I want to play it, like, online with people. Like, of course. And if you think that the stuff that they're doing now is cheap, believe me, the stuff that they were doing back then is even cheaper than anything you could imagine. It was 100 times, the game was 100 times faster, and the stuff you had to deal with was 100 times cheaper than it ever is now. You couldn't just parry every attack in the game by holding 2 buttons. You know, before you actually had to choose high or low. You know what I'm saying? And you still have to do that now, but only with perfect parries and imperfect parries. Like, you could parry every attack in the game just by pressing 2 buttons, but if you want a perfect parry or imperfect parry, you have to press back for all high attacks and down back for all low attacks. That's why a lot of players I see that they think that they figured the game out and they're just parrying, and you know, if they're just parrying, obviously you're gonna grab them. Then they're gonna get tired of parrying. Now you can pressure them again. You know what I'm saying? These are the adjustments that you got to make as a high level player to win. You know what I'm saying? These are the adjustments that you have to make. And don't wait for him to drive rush out of the parry. He made a mistake. Go for the grab. It takes him a little while to actually be able to drive rush out of that. You got to go for the grab immediately. That's damage. It might not be as much damage as a combination, but that's, hey, damage is damage, and that adds up. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'll leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? This is probably gonna be my last video though. Like I said, I'm selling my PlayStation, so but like I said, if it ever changes for me, hopefully I'll be back for Street Fighter 7. Or, you know, I don't know how long Street Fighter 6 is going to exist in the FGC. And another thing I gotta say, man, people practice all year long. When it comes to tournaments, they should not allow guys screaming on the mic and over exaggerating on the mic, like, and audience members. It should be treated like golf, and it should be treated like tennis, where it's like when these players are playing, they need all the focus and all the attention that they could possibly get. They don't need people in the audience screaming and shouting and trying to distract them, or commentators screaming and giving tips to the players because they happen to be from the same community. Oh, no, you can't do low attack there. You know, you don't do that. You don't do that kind of stuff, man. You don't scream on the microphone in the middle of a guy's combination. You don't try to give tips to players from your community. You don't do that. You have them figure it out for themselves because they're at a tournament and there's money on the line. They're supposed to figure that out on their own. They're supposed to have mastered the game to the point where they have no flaws in their game anymore. You know what I'm saying? As one of the players that hit like master rank faster probably than any other player out there, you know, I'm trying to tell you guys, you know, I wasn't even at my best when I did it. You know, the players that think they're, you know, incredible, that I'm, you know, I wouldn't even say struggling to beat. Like I'm losing to nonsense. You know what I'm saying? I'm like legitimately losing to nonsense. Like, you know, I have seen like at least 5 all white ingredients on a white background. Like, that's absurd. Like, you're playing against an invisible woman on the screen. It's impossible to, like, I'm fighting a shadow in the night. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair. I'm begging the developers, please, for future releases, always make this a priority. Like, when the artists hand you the color of the when artists hand you the design of the character, make sure that the outfit is completely transparent. That way, like, I don't know who does it, the developer or the artist, all they got to do is click the color red, click his t-shirt area and turn it red. And then that color is available for, you know, when they play on a black background, you know, that color is easy to see on a black background. So, like, I don't want to hear anyone complaining about seeing Ken, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to end the video there, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, like I said, this is hold on, my phone is going crazy right now. Um, like I said, this is probably gonna be my last video that I post for a long time. Unless I see some sort of benefit from it, which I probably won't. But you know, as you can see, when I was playing Street Fighter 5 and Mortal Kombat 11, you saw how much fun I was having playing the games. That was genuinely fun that I was having. That was not like Gamer Girl 321 that all of a sudden wants to start streaming video games online, where if you go back, you know, a few years, you know, women thought it was tacky to play video games. Like, oh, like that's immature. I don't play video games. You know, that's immature for women to do. Like, I'm a grown adult. I don't do that. But then you see them on TikTok, like, touch the screen, guys. Double tap the screen. I want to win. I'm battling this person here, and I want to double tap. I want to win. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm saying from like, I genuinely, like, was having fun. So don't think for any moment that, like, when you catch me at a time where people have been trolling me the whole time, and I'm just trying to put on a show and exaggerate and trying to build an audience or whatever, don't think at all that that's actually who I am. I'm just putting on a show. I'm trying to gain an audience. You know, I'm not really angry about the game. I just thought it was real funny to do that. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't think it was funny, I apologize. I tried. I thought it was genuinely hilarious to see me screaming and crying over a game. I really don't care. I just wanted to make it overly emotional and entertaining. And it's really, you know, it's kind of hard to make a video game entertaining, especially for people that don't play it. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted, like, the average Joe Schmo that doesn't play fighting games to happen to come across the video and go, damn, that's, you know, it made me laugh. It's funny. You know, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that was really my main goal. Like, I don't really care if I win or lose like that. Obviously I want to be the number one on the leaderboards. And I've always broken, you know, the top 10 players. Yeah, give me a second. Okay, I know. No, have him wait outside. Like I said, this is gonna be the last video that I do for a long time, and I'll end it there. You know, I hope you guys understand why I say what I say. You know, is a lot of fun. You know what I'm saying? I genuinely, if it ever changes for me, I'll be back for the next one, for Street Fighter 7. Hopefully the developers listen to me a little bit more. There's a lot of characters that don't even belong in the franchise. Ingrid is a prime example of that. That is such a King of Fighters design. And I know they used to actually be the same developers and same company. But I can understand now why some of the guys left from Capcom and started their own company. You know, characters like Ingrid, that's not Street Fighter. Characters like Luke should actually be Ken. But they got to make his uppercut look more like Ken. You know what I'm saying? Luke is more how I feel Ken would play. You know, and should be like, they should just swap the characters a little bit. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of characters in this game where I'm just like, okay, I don't think there's a necessity for Rashid. Like, realistically, is there really a necessity for Rashid? Like, the point I'm trying to make is, Capcom, stop trying to clone Ryu 20 times over. Like, you know, Sagat is basically Ryu. Ryu is Ryu. Ken is Ryu. Luke is Ryu. Who else? You know, the character Ed is damn near Ryu all over again. You know, Chun-Li, another kind of Ryu character. It's like, you know, stop redesigning Ryu in 20 different ways, man. Like, make it more like Goken, it feels like he's not Ryu. Even though he kind of is. Like, you get what I'm saying? But he plays way different. He plays way different. Hakan plays way different. You know what I'm saying? That's the point I'm trying to make. Hakan plays way different. You know, add those characters that feel like there's variety in the game. There's way too many characters like Sea Viper doesn't feel, in my opinion, Sea Viper does not, I don't feel like she belongs in Street Fighter. I feel like she belongs in King of Fighters. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the point I'm trying to make, man. Like, I know it's your game and you're going to make it however you want, but like for example, Cammy does not feel like Ryu. Cammy feels like her own independent character. Corinne kind of feels like her own independent character. Fei Long feels like his own independent character, even though he's just a Bruce Lee impersonation. You know what I'm saying? But Bruce Lee belongs in fighting games. I mean, let's be honest here. He truly belongs in fighting games. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to end the video there, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I was able to make you guys laugh. Believe me, I'm not a maniac that like is an overly aggressive maniac. Like, the real me is very relaxed and very calm and you know what I'm saying? I'm not like, you know, I might, you know, I feel like everyone kind of is an egomaniac, you know, when it comes to competition. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself an egomaniac. I'm just really competitive and I want to win, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'll end it there. You know what I'm saying? I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I hope some of you guys enjoyed that. I was just really trying to entertain you guys and make you guys laugh. I genuinely, you know, I know it sounded like I was really angry and upset. I really wasn't. I was just trying to put on a show. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was hilarious. As you can see, a lot of the times when I'm having those outbursts, I'm trying to hold in my laughter. And like, believe me, I'm not a maniac. Believe me, maniacs don't stream on social media and put it out there. You know what I mean? Real maniacs don't talk to nobody, don't look at nobody. You know what I'm saying? And you know, have no friends, and you know, don't try to socialize and you know, keep that very top secret. You know what I'm saying? They don't try to post videos of them screaming about Street Fighter on the internet. You know what I'm saying? So like, you believe what you want about me, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. I was just trying to be entertaining and trying to make people laugh. You know what I'm saying? So I like I said, for the 16 people that were actually subscribed, I hope you enjoyed it. You know, I was upset that I already had 10,000 subscribers before social media deleted my original account, and that's kind of when I stopped trying altogether. I was just like, all right, you know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, you should try again and try harder. I did. It took me damn near a year to get 10,000 subscribers. And then they just delete my account, and I'm like, all right, you got me. Like, this is what you wanted. You know what I'm saying? My social media account was perfectly fine until I started talking about the spirit and everything. And all of a sudden, now it gets deleted. Now it's a problem, even though it's in the Constitution of the United States. You have the right to practice your faith and your religion. And that's part of faith and religion. And no government entity is going to change that. Our ancestors passed us that knowledge, and that's extremely valuable knowledge in society. You know what I'm saying? It's extremely valuable for people. You know what I'm saying? To understand, you know, the truth. And that's the only reason I told and said what I said. You know, it's not no top secret thing. You know, it's stop treating it like it's some top secret, you know, secret society knowledge. No, at one point it was written on, and probably still is, hieroglyphics written on walls. And you know, at one point our ancestors were preserving the knowledge and writing it down for us so that we would always have a recollection of the truth and what matters most in society and what matters most in life. The phenomenal abilities that we all possess as human beings. Stop being antichrist and holding people back from their true potential. and their ability to find the truth for their decision-making process in their life. And that means whether you're a government entity or part of the nationalists, stop doing that. Stop holding people back from their true potential. You know what I'm saying? You know, stop doing that. Helping somebody is a beautiful thing. I appreciate that. But there's not everybody that uses it for the right reasons. There's a lot of people that just try to infuriate you and try to anger you and try to typecast you and call you crazy and act as if you're a maniac when really you're just telling the truth. And believe me, there's nothing wrong with you for telling the truth. There's something wrong with them for accusing you of being something you're not. And you know what you do? You disassociate yourself from someone like that. You know, don't waste your time with somebody like that, because they're only going to do it again and again and again and again. And emotionally, nobody deserves that kind of abuse. Not psychological, not verbal, not physical at all. You know, it doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter what nationality you are. It doesn't matter if you're mixed nationality. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Always remember that. Don't get me wrong. Deep down in my heart, I'm going to miss my PlayStation 5. I'm going to miss playing Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat online. I love it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to miss it. I really am. If I ever decide to come back to it, I'll probably get a PlayStation 5 Pro instead. But it probably won't be for a very long time. But by the time I come back, you probably won't even know it. And it'll probably be Street Fighter PlayStation 6 instead of PlayStation 5. And I won't be streaming anything. In fact, my username will be a completely new username that I don't even tell my friends. It'll be like Jake324. And it's like, that can't be him. His name's not Jake. And I'm like, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted you to believe. You fell for it. Okay, my plan has succeeded, okay? I just want to let you guys know, man. I hope I was able to make you guys laugh and entertain you. You know, that was really the ultimate goal, and to try to make money. But I noticed that the only people that really make money on social media are the people that really cheat or the real hot women out there. So, like, I'm not going to hate if you're a real hot female. You know, I'm happy that you're able to elevate, you know what I'm saying, and try to make money and turn your appearance into a business and make money. You know, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. But you know, I don't have the capabilities to try to cheat to make it to the top. You know, I try to rely on my you know, my abilities that God gave me, and we'll see where it goes. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna end the video there. This will probably be the last time that you see me streaming for an extremely long time, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys actually learn something, because no one really explained the knowledge of fighting games the way I'm explaining to you, especially when it comes to Street Fighter. So I hope you guys were able to learn something. You know, I'm just saying, as a long time player, high level player. You know, I was just trying to share the knowledge and share the love. That's what it's all about. We get better as a community, you know what I'm saying? And it's only going to make the matches even better in the future. So.
Accept switch profile power notification music. Download.